Tepu, assalamu alaikum, namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kazakma Keparu with an exclusive video for my Patreon supporters. And in today's video, I want to talk about a Egyptian deity that is rarely focused on and had a very instrumental role in the story of Asar and Aset, and that is Nephthys, sometimes called Neb-Het. And she was the sister of Isis, the wife of Set. So if we read a little bit about her here, it says Nephthys was a protective goddess, daughter of Geb and Nut, and consort of her brother Set. She belonged to the Heliopian Ened. Now the Ened is kind of like the company of the gods, or what I call the pantheon of the gods, or you can say the tree of life. Her son was Anubis, which is Sebek, and I talk a lot about Sebek as being fact, about the left brain, facts, cold knowledge, not anything that's dynamic or interactive. And when you look at the fact that Anubis or Sebek, his complement, we don't want to say opposite, but his complement is to Huti, whereas Sebek thinks about thoughts. He's very much into intellectualism. To Huti is about stilling the thought process to intuit wisdom and knowledge. Nephthys and her sister Isis, and the two sisters accompany her brother Osiris on his journey to the underworld, Nephthys leading him into the west, descending into the realm of the dead, and her sister subsequently escorting him into the east, ascending to the place of rebirth. Keep in mind that the ancient Kemetic people or Egyptian people were very much into symbolism, and the story, which is just basically something on the surface, really had a deep scientific meaning to it, or alchemical meaning to it. So don't just think they're just telling you this story about traversing through the underworld or the dead. It has a real significance to it, and a lot of Egyptologists miss that, So ascending to the place of rebirth, Akhet, light, land, horizon, where according to the pyramid text, one will become an Ankh and rise in the immortal sky, meaning that that would end the reincarnation process, and you would become one with Neter. Today in New Age movement, we call it 5D. Let's read some of the hem, or what they call spells. May you rise at the horizon. Therein the place of your glorification. Nephthys was often a counterpart of Isis. While Osiris and Isis proclaimed the coming of the Unis to Lower Egypt, Nephthys and Set do so in Upper Egypt. Seth, Nephthys, go proclaim the Upper Egypt's gods and their spirits. The Unis comes, a spirit indestructible. If he wishes you to die, you will die. If he wishes you to live, you will live. Together with Isis, as the Neb-Het, the two mourners, and that's a very important thing that happened in the story of Osiris at the morning, when he died, and often joined by Sekhet and Neith. She mourned the dead, and as she had mourned her dead brother Osiris and protected the sarcophagus of the mummy and the canopic jars containing the inner organs of the deceased. The canopic jars were important because they did put the organs in there. And this goes back to, well, what is that about? Well, don't forget that there is the Hermetic law of Hermes, which is law of correspondence. So as above, so below, law of attraction. So when you look at the fact that you have a earthly body, a physical body, there is an etheric body that accompanies that. So the Egyptians very much believed in that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about Nephthys and her role, because one of the things I'd like to do is, kind of try to compare her to other Egyptian deities, and the closest one we can come to is Heteru, because Nephthys was about beauty. She was about external pleasures and things like that, which Set, evil Set, as we sometimes would say, made sense that he would pick her as his mate. Now here we have an image of her, and it says here, Neb-Het is a goddess of ancient Egyptian religion, a member of the great Ened of Heliopolis in the Egyptian mythology. She was a daughter of Nut and Geb. So this is pretty much reiterating what I've already talked about. But one of the important things that I wanted to go over was the idea of the company of the gods, or the Ened, or the pantheon, Um, so many terminologies here. And if you take a look here, you'll see how this unfolds. We have at the top Atum, then we have Shu, Tefnut, Geb, Nut, and then below we have Osiris, Isis, Horus. Then we have Set, Nephthys, and Anubis. Very interesting. And as you see with Osiris, Isis, and Horus, that's the Holy Trinity. And then we have Set, Nephthys, and Anubis. That's a Trinity there as well. And one of the interesting things that you should take note about this, very interesting, is that there is always the female counterpart. You're not going to see usually just the male alone with no representation of the female energy. Now, when you look up at the top, Atum, that is usually signified by nothingness, something that cannot be perceived. It's immaterial, and it encompasses all that there is. So this is what we mean by the company of the gods. And there is a specific numerology associated with this, and an initiation process with this, and how each one relates to the other. And as you know, I cover a lot about Osiris, Isis, and Horus. For example, Osiris representing the mummy, being beyond the influence of emotions, Horus representing your will, and Isis representing devotion, nurturing, the mother goddess, but also a trance state. If you've seen my classes on the Tree of Life and how you climb the Tree of Life and the things you must do when climbing the Tree of Life, which are important. For example, we know that Anubis, or we just interchange him with Sebek, is left brain, and he deals with belief systems. All right, and if you have the correct belief system with the correct visualization, let's say Nephthys, because Nephthys is about how things appear on the external thing, a visualization that encompasses a strong emotion with the belief system, and that could rally you to action, and we know Set, or Seth, S-E-T-H, represents the lower aspect of you, and Horus and Set in their battle really represents you overcoming your lower emotional desires and cravings to become Oser, to ascend to the throne, which is what Horus, or Heru, had to do. He had to become victorious over Set to ascend to the throne and then rule Kemet. But going back to Nephthys, she was very instrumental in working with Isis or Aset, and resurrecting Oser. So Nephthys, sometimes we interchange her with Hathor, Heru, to get a greater understanding of her role and what she is about. So we can't forget about Nephthys and all the qualities of her, that the positive qualities that we can embody today and move forward to make the world better. So I hope this video has been of help to you. This is Kasak Ma Keparu, son of Tehuti Ma'at, and my aunt is Heteru. Until my next video, Amen Ra.